Hi, welcome to Ivy's Fortress. I'm Ashante, your reader friend. Come on, Ivy. And this is Ivy. You say hello.
Hello.
All right, today's book we have Ada Twist Scientist. But before we get started, hey, Aubrey's here to say hello as well.
Hello.
Before we get started, we're going to get in our groove with the song. So get your friends' fingers ready. 1, 2, 3, go. Friends, friends. 1, 2, 3. All my friends are here with me. You're my friend and you're my friend. You're my friend. You're all my friends. Friends, friends. 1, 2, 3. All my friends are here with me. All right, Ivy's gonna go and sit in her rocking chair so she can see the pictures too. So, Ada Twist Scientist by Andrea Beaty, illustrated by David Roberts. Do you guys know this Netflix show, Ada Twist Scientist? Such a good show. We love watching it because asking questions is an important part of life. That's how we get information, the correct information. And sometimes we have to test out those questions, also called hypotheses, to see what we really need to know or discover. But I'll let Ada Twist do the talking. Let's get reading. Ada Marie said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and made her big break, with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound and sight, and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. That's a very unsafe choice. Don't sleep on top of your dresser, kids. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak, as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. Please stop rocking. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and simply asked, "Why?" These pages are sticking together. Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Good question. Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs up inside your nose? She started with why, and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." Sure will. Her parents kept up with her high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist.
Yay!
A great scientist has courage and they ask questions and they are not afraid to find the answer they deserve. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing.
when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. Zowie, said Ada, which got her to thinking. What is that source of the terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell? And does it still stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She'd start at the start where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling smells both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then zowie, the stink struck again, just like that. Hypothesis 2, it's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop!" It's fitting that the sirens are going on in the background because this is a very dangerous thing to do. You should never put a pet or an animal in any type of machine or electronic. That will never be okay. It could really hurt them. Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now. By the time we count 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada questioned. Her mother said no. What? Ada queried. Her father said, go. You ruined our supper. You made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think. She looked at her parents and her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do.
Her heart turned to goo. Ada Twist.
She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing at all.
Yeah, no more pages.
But always a trait of a good scientist is to be persistent. And so Ada sat, and she sat, and she sat, and she thought about science and stew and the cat, and how her experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Our mess is a problem. And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? And Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked 2. And each of those led her to 3 questions more. And some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, and then what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again.
I can't see anybody.
Not right now. Her parents calmed down and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, we'll figure it out. And that's what they did, because that's what you do. When your kid has a passion and a heart that is true, they remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asked lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. And as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do? But learn all she can with her friends in grade 2. Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is the question. And someday, who knows? The end. I think this is the source of that terrible stinking. You see that sock right there? Brother's socks always stink. You gotta wash them as quickly as you can because they will be the source of the terrible stinking.
Mommy,
Well,
Ada Twist.
You're welcome. That's all we have today. I hope you guys can go and venture out and find your own way to be a scientist. There's all types of scientists that study rocks, grass, the skies, the trees, the foods we eat, anything you can think of. There's a scientist for it. So, catch you next time and stay inspired, kids.
I like carrots.
Bye.
I like carrots.
Okay, carrot eater.
Whee! I want to